Okay, so we are live and in session once again. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Frustrated Healer podcast. And oh boy, this one's gonna be a fun one, and it has nothing to do with the it has nothing to do with how crazy the overpowered strategies have been in some recent fan games that everyone's been talking about. BGM's a little loud. Okie dokie. Let me lower that down. There we go. Thank you. So, yeah. Let's give a quick shout out to the early birds in the chat. Just a nice cozy little gathering here. We got Kat, Victor, Decide, HPP, Lion, Vicky Bro, and Nico. Alrighty. So, to start this off, oh, hey Aztec. So to start this off, I'd like to ask you guys a question. Off the top of your head, all right? What is the single most imbalanced character, mechanic, or weapon you've ever used in a game? It doesn't need to be competitive. It doesn't need to come from Dota. It doesn't need to come from, Counter-Strike, anything like that. Just in any game. The single most overpowered thing you can remember off the top of your head. For me, I had a small list, of course, because I was ready for this. So, if you're a retro gamer, one of the first things that will come to mind is the metal blades from Mega Man 2. The finger from Project Phantasma. While not as outright broken as some of the things we've seen in other games, I'd argue Nahida from Genshin is crazy overpowered. It makes the Karasawa look weak. It was another game too. Was it a Dead Space that had a foam finger, and you would just literally point it to an enemy and go bang? Was it a Dead Space or one of those games? It was it was a seemingly joke weapon, but it would one-shot literally anything you would point at it, and it would make a meme sound. Literally, bang! It would do that. Kill everything. Every new character in League. Lion! The entire Eldar faction from the PC Dawn of War games. The golden gun from Classic 007. Yeah. The original Galahorn in Destiny. I unfortunately did not play Destiny, but even I know that name. Even I know that weapon, and I never played the damn game. That's how infamous it was. I never played Destiny, and I know the Galahorn. The baseball bat from the Worms games, or in some cases, the Apocalypse weapon in the Worms games. How about this one? This one's kind of cheating because it is technically an exploit. It is a glitch. But for all you Skyrim fans out there, who here remembers the Fortify Restoration glitch? The Fortify Restoration glitch. Would completely annihilate the game by an exploit that would allow you to create these crazy abominations of enchanted weapons. Bro. Because of that, there was one time I looked for the dumbest weapon that I could use, right? It was a fork. It had a base damage of 1. But you could use it somehow, some way. You can use the fork, all right? It does nothing. So what did I do? Well, I used some Fortify Restoration enchantment magic on it. And It dealt 1,000,000 fire damage per hit. I one-shotted Alduin with a fork. It was the most anticlimactic battle that I'd ever seen. Because I just glitched it out to do 1,000,000 damage, and no enemy in that game has anywhere near that amount of health. I like poke and the cheat code cars in Age of Empires 2. Man, cheat codes are a lost art. That is absolutely a topic for another day. Let me actually write that down so I don't forget it. Sometimes when we're here, talking about all these fun ideas, there are times when I'm like, oh crap, what was that idea that someone mentioned again? Let me type that into podcast ideas. Just for future. The lost art of cheat codes. Ooh, that's a nice one. That is gonna be a fun one. Okay. How do you turn this on? Wish Baldur's Gate 3 had an exploit like that. Imagine soloing boss fights, dual-wielding salamis. The Telesto in Destiny 2 has been disabled so many times due to breaking the game. Or, GT, the freaking Lunatome in FE7. You can destroy the final boss so effortlessly with that. I mean, Athos himself is a crazy overpowered character, and they give him to you in the final chapter of the game. Oh my goodness. That's some fun stuff. Oh man, what else did I... Oh! I have a note here. I have you written on my notes in all caps. For you Pokemon fans. Mega Rayquaza. So overpowered, they banned him from the legendary tier. And the one time they allowed him to compete in VGC, the doubles battle format, everyone was using a Rayquaza on their team. The Super Ghouls and Ghost Knife, it out DPSs almost every other weapon because it fires so fast and does nearly the same damage as the basic lance. That's so nice. Yeah. You do tend to see a lot of crazy overpowered weapons in a lot of older games. Do you guys remember the spin slash from the original Ninja Gaiden on the NES? If anybody's watched the Summoning Salt speedrunning documentary on Ninja Gaiden, you guys will know exactly how freaking broken that spin slash is. And now, yeah, Pokemon Gen 9, the power creep does keep getting worse. So many Pokemon were banned within the first week of competitive. It is wacky. It is wacky. So, for all these things that we used, right? Were they overpowered as hell? Yeah. They kind of broke the game? Sure. Are they fun as hell to use though? 10 out of 10 would rampage again. Oh man. Only thing that rivals the knife is the upgraded torch because it does 20 per hit and the flames do 2 damage per frame. Holy crap! Yeah. So, I don't know. when we think about it, right? in competitive games, sure, you can be worried about game balance. But a lot of the time, overpowered weapons mechanics and stuff like that, they're really, really fun to use. And if done well, they can actually really add so much more to the game. Oh, hey, Phil. So, what happens here? It's funny that Phil's here because he's the one who showed me this a short video on YouTube. Something about how achieving game balance is essentially, a fool's errand, or how it's impossible, or like achieving pure game balance isn't actually ideal, But that's something we'll get to a little bit later. Yeah, we'd be remiss about talking OP without bringing up Seal. Yep. They inadvertently gave it the perfect moveset to make an infinite battle. Oh my god! Prim, you brought up the legend of the endless battle slow bro. Tormented the opponent with an infinite battle that they could not win. And it just would keep going until the guy left. Oh my god, that is degenerate as hell. Was it fun to use though? Yes! But... but it's like... in a way, the broken strategies and mechanics do contribute to the fun of the game. Because here's the thing. When an overpowered mechanic is introduced as like a reward, maybe in the late game, sometimes they come very early in the game, like the Metal Blades. You can literally get them as your first weapon and completely wreck the whole of Mega Man 2. Sometimes they're given to you as a reward. Sometimes even a necessary progression item, like the Super Gravity Gun in Half-Life 2. You guys remember Ina's stream on that? The moment she felt the power of that gravity gun, her face immediately goes... like, that is the face of realization of the power that you are given. I loved that moment so much. She got drunk with power. She was so sad that all of her items got deleted, in that last segment of Half-Life 2. And especially her crowbar bonker. She's like, no, my crowbar! And then the gravity gun, blam, blam, just deleted the enemies in front of her. And she's like... or this was recent. There've been these clips of of Asmongold playing Holocure. The look on his face when he finally got his first collab, the BL Fujoshi, and suddenly, the endless spinning of axes and the BL books, and he's just like... the reactions on their faces at that exact moment you feel the power trip is incredible. I mean, I personally don't watch his content very often, but I gotta say it was a pretty fun experience seeing him discover the stuff that Holocure had to offer and seeing how he reacted to it, This is effing broken. Yeah, it can be anyone. But yes, definitely, he is an acquired taste. I was honestly a little tempted, chat, to do the podcast while fishing. But my problem is I might have gotten distracted. Alright, I'll see you later, Sam. I was honestly really, really tempted to do this podcast while fishing, but I feel like I just get distracted. So, Wayan, You're more surprised I haven't guerrillaed more? Well, I have been busy the past few days. And yesterday was just. Ooh, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Yeah. Hey, Lux. Didn't know the podcast started on this hour. No, it was just for today. Cause I was more busy in the morning. Because Val needed me to help her with some stuff. But I think this might be the new time slot moving forward, either 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. because I will be starting my morning part-time job soonish. So yeah. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get back on topic. So when we think about it, right? What makes something imbalanced? What makes a game mechanic, a game character, what makes it imbalanced? Well, I think a few things come to mind. Like, one, they could potentially be breaking the rules of the game while still kind of participating in the game. Hence, Mega Rayquaza. All Mega Pokemon are required to hold an item, therefore removing their capacity to hold one of the competitive items that are used in Pokemon. Mega Rayquaza doesn't need that. He can Mega Evolve while holding a competitive item, and he has an ability that removes his weaknesses. That's crazy. That one is the breaking the rules of the game. Another part is, having options that, there you go, as you said, Vic, it's having options that completely disregard the challenge of the game. They trivialize the rest of the game. But the thing is, like we were saying with the gravity gun, that sometimes that has a purpose. If you put it right at the end of the game for just one last rampage, it can really work. But if you're given the item a little too early, the rest of the game can get a little bit stale, right? So what happens is, if you get the item very early on in the game, and it is clearly the single most overpowered broken item in the game, it kind of feels weird that, the rest of the game you can just use this and just, bypass all the challenge. Just delete the game, essentially. So it can be a little bit tough, no? And if you translate that to a competitive game, that's how you get very stale metas. When you don't have any very competitive options. League is very actually not just League, but MOBAs tend to have this problem where at the highest level there forms a very stale meta only populated by the top 10 to 15 characters or so. We will discuss Overwatch in a bit, Lux, because oh boy, that I have a lot to say about that game. But yeah, essentially when you get those things, it creates a stale meta. Goats. Oh boy, the tragedy of Overwatch. Anyway, and sometimes weapons are just, some things are just clearly overstated. Sometimes a combination of all of these things, like Mega Rayquaza, right? And you have to think, like, where does game imbalance stem from, right? Well, I would say, if you guys would humor me on this thought experiment, I would say that introducing variables to a formula creates the potential for imbalance. It's the variance that creates the potential for insanity, right? For example, especially if there are some RNG related things. We have that saying in Pokemon for especially Nuzlockers, right? Crit happens. There's nothing you can do about it, but a critical hit will just There you go. That's it. No questions asked. You're dying. You might have boosted all your stats. You might have had all of these things. No, the crit ignores all your boosts. Kills ya. That's it. Would some people say crits are imbalanced? Absolutely. Would some people say crits are imbalanced? Yes. Are they part of the game? Yes. And sometimes you can play around the crit. That's a big deal too. If you can play around it, helps a lot. Switching out your Pokemon. Putting out something there that even if you do crit, doesn't really feel anything. Something that doesn't have any counterplay though is Lux, Freeze. Gen 1 Freeze. Yeah, because in Gen 1 Pokemon, when you get frozen, you're effectively dead. The only thing that can thaw you out is a fire move. And nobody uses fire Pokemon in Gen 1 because they weren't very good back then. And there are some abilities that also allow you not to get crit. Oh yeah, and then we have Wonder Guard on Shedinja, where only weaknesses can hit him. Could that be broken on... Is that a broken ability? Oh my god, it is. Is it broken on Shedinja? Not so much, not quite. He only has 1 HP after all. There are a lot of... Hakmon, huh? I see Luxray has also dabbled in the ancient magics. The forbidden magics. Though I would kind of expect it, considering you have... I mean, Luxray Darkrai, that's your name. And then Prim has the freaking Gen 1 TCG Starmie as his PFP. Why wouldn't it, right? Copy it to a mono fire type, then use it, make it use burnout. Oh my god. Yeah, that happens too. Enters a sandstorm, guess I'm dead now. There was even that degenerate strat of Durant using skill swap to give Truant to his enemy. That one's just a fun troll strat. But the thing is, it's the variance that also creates the fun, you know? It's the seasoning, right? It's that spice of life. That little variance that you want to have in a game to create opportunities for fun. It's a little bit related to what we were talking about with RNG and how sometimes random chances also allow for games to introduce new situations with which you can react to, right? But some of these gimmicks, like I guess you're saying with the Pokemon, some of them, the gimmick is the point. Absolutely. Like Wobbuffet, Ditto, Shedinja, Smeargle, impractical, but hey, you can have a lot of fun with it. Though Smeargle is notorious in competitive, or for the reasons that you guys already know by now. But like, when you think about it, what would a perfectly balanced game look like? And this is what I mean by the impossibility of game balance. And in a way, achieving pure, absolute balance would actually give you a very, very boring game. Let me... You guys, I hope you guys just entertain me on this little thought experiment, right? So, what were we just saying? The variance, the variables are the things that create opportunities for imbalance. Well, if those are the factors that cause imbalance, what would the absolute balanced game look like? Well, let's remove all the variance, right? Because imbalance comes from the variables. So we remove the variables, we remove the variance. You then have something quite boring. So what would happen? Would you say maybe chess is a very balanced game? I would argue, if we're talking about absolutes, like I know I sound like a smartass, but this is just a thought experiment. I would say chess can't work because someone takes the initiative. someone already has the first turn. So it can't be turn-based. Because then you're gonna say, oh, that can't work because you need to move at the same time. Right? Hey, so we can't have it turn-based. Remove that. To be balanced, very equal. So no turn-based games. Something, maybe you move at the same time. Let's say maybe a fighting game. Not even a coin flip meta, right? Because of the 50-50. Let's say you have a fighting game. And instead of having, a lot of crazy moves or a big roster of characters to choose from like in Street Fighter 6, no. You only have one character. You only have the basic moves. You're not gonna use, oh no, let's not use special attacks because that could create something broken, Oh, projectiles, I can't, we'll have to create something around that. So you're playing a fighting game, because you're moving at the same time. You only have one-on-one, so that there's no distractions. You only have the same moveset, the same character on the same stage with no variance. Doesn't sound like the most fun game, right? All balanced becomes 100% predictable. That's a good way of putting it, Lion. Did I ever try dive kick? Yes. I didn't try it myself, but I did watch some old YouTube clips and videos about that game. I could tell, okay, all you do is a dive kick. And one shot, one kill. And it was fun for the first 5 minutes. I mean, just watching it, and then I kind of tuned out. It's like, if this is all the game is, it's kind of like, right? You're not really adding too much. So, would achieving game balance actually be the best outcome? I wouldn't necessarily say so, because like we just pointed out, right? An absolute pure balanced game where you remove all variance is a very boring game. It's a very boring life. So what then do we do? Well, if achieving game balance is boring, we embrace the insanity of the imbalance. In the case of in a world where everyone is a superhero, then it becomes normal. In the world where everything is overpowered and crazy and broken, well, nothing is overpowered. Oh boy. So what would happen? What would happen too? Let's go to... This one is an example of imbalance that is used properly. Here's my take. So there are some games now that embraced the craziness of the imbalance, but they gave you a skill barrier. You can become an absolute god, completely untouchable, but it's difficult. Metal Gear Rising, Bayonetta, Devil May Cry 5, right? As you've seen the combo compilations, you've seen the no-hit runs, you've seen the flawless boss fights, and they're showing you it is possible. It takes a lot of skill. It is possible. I mean, the fact that they gave you frickin' Virgil in Devil May Cry 5, the combo videos that, were all over YouTube when he was released, boy, they were amazing. And it finally countered that meme that everyone was saying that, oh yeah, the final boss when you fight them, like the craziest powerful thing. And then the boss in your party is like a chibi-fied cute little puppy, you know what I mean? It's like, let's put it this way. It's like Fuamoko in lore as the guard dogs versus Fuamoko in the back rooms. That's final boss versus boss in your party. It's kind of the same energy, right? In your mind, Counter-Strike is an example of imbalanced but balanced. Because the weapons aren't the same on the two sides, but people still overall agree that it is fairly balanced. Oh yes! Oh yes! Pero is a medicine you want more? Would I consider Monster Hunter for that as well, in that your skill is everything? Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, HPP. I know everybody who's played Monster Hunter, especially in a party, everyone memes on the longsword users because they're so selfish and they keep sweeping and like everyone keeps getting tripped. But the thing is, if you play solo and you nail down all of the crits, all of the counters and all that stuff, you will be completely untouchable. It's just that now they give you a skill barrier in order to achieve it. I'd say that actually makes it a lot more fun. That is how you embrace the imbalance of a game. Because that feeling when you string everything together and you create something godlike, boy, it feels amazing. It's like when we were doing some labbing, some practice with Pekora in Idol Showdown. We were cooking up some combos we could do in the corner, and when we finally pulled it off, we're like, oh damn, that's fun. But yeah, these are the games where you can absolutely become overpowered, but it all depends on your skill. And that creates a wonderful incentive for people to get good. Everyone else is either out of the way or have enough stagger immunity in their animations. Only problems for Lancers. Yeah. Although the thing is, I can't really relate to those things because I'm a career solo hunter. Because of my days back then with a PSP back home in the Philippines, we didn't really have a lot of network connectivity. Hell, most of the time our GPS doesn't even work to this day. but that's why I had to learn to become a solo hunter, and it's like that's why I learned, what weapons work best for me. Though in Monster Hunter, it's not even necessarily becoming completely overpowered or imbalanced. It's more of, well, for me at least, I find it like just I use the weapons that make me feel the most powerful. AKA the dual blades. Oh boy, I am a dual sword main. Yes. Especially in Rise, when they gave me back that wirebug art that replicated Adept style in Monster Hunter Generations. Whew. Sorry, that is a deep reference. That's a bit obscure, so I'm sorry for the folks who don't understand that. You saw a general consensus of imbalanced but balanced in a fighting game, and that's Mortal Kombat 9. Yes. Mortal Kombat 9 has so many crazy broken characters, but they also require a lot of skill to be able to pull off those broken combos. And then meanwhile, you have Akuma in Super Street Fighter Turbo. Yeah, you guys know ST Akuma. Super Turbo Akuma was straight up banned. Was straight up banned. Boy, okay, GT, I was about to mention that example too because we're on the topic of fighting games. There was a game. Not Hokuto no Ken, but it just reminded me of it. There was a JoJo fighting game. Already a great start. There was a JoJo fighting game, and one of the characters was called Pet Shop. Pet Shop is the bird. Okay? Yeah. So Pet Shop is a bird. And he flies. So he immediately invalidates all damn crouching attacks. The dang ice bird, yeah. Because he's literally floating above the ground. That's a game that has no regard for balance at all. This thing is flying, so none of your low attacks are gonna hit. What are you supposed to do? Everyone has infinites and nonsense in Hokuto no Ken. It becomes a matter of how easy it is to do them. Ray can go into 100% damage combo from a crouching jab. And yet, it's kind of funny, right? The most broken games, and we all know they're broken as hell. Yet they're beloved. Yet they are beloved. 'Cause they're fun. They are stupid fun. I think the peak of that, in terms of fighting games, you guys, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We know about the meta. If you've played Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the meta, MSP, Magneto Storm Psylocke, or Magneto Storm Sentinel. Oh, you meant Toki. Okay. But still, right? People regard these games, they hold them in such high regard. They were so crazy fun. And now, like in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, even though you had the crazy setups from the super high meta characters, there's also been like, what do you call it? They introduced the point system where the top tiers are given points. You know, everyone is assigned a point value. And the top tiers are like 5 points. They're worth 5 points. But you only have 7 points worth to spend on your characters. Like a ratio system. Kind of like in a Capcom versus SNK. And when it was implemented in modern Marvel vs. Capcom 2, suddenly people started discovering all the tech, all the broken stuff from low tiers as well. And it's like, these low tiers aren't that bad. It's just that the top tiers are just so freaking broken that these guys have a lot of catching up to do. And that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it super fun. But on the other end, right? There are times when you have an overpowered strategy that is just too good in a competitive game. It ruins the fun for everyone. So, let's put it this way. We already mentioned it earlier. Mother effin' goats from Overwatch 1. Oh my god. Like Steve in Smash Ultimate. Yes, Steve in Smash Ultimate. Akuma in Super Turbo. And the goats strategy in Overwatch. So for those of you who weren't too familiar with the Overwatch competitive scene, let me retell a tale of tragedy, of sadness, and salt with goats. Once upon a time. Long time ago. The year was 2016. Was it 2016? I know Overwatch came out in 2015 or 2016, something like that. I think GOATS came out, the strategy was more popularized in 2018. Either way, any year before 2020, we as HoloLive and VTuber fans know that is ancient history. So, yeah. 27, 2018. So that was the year. And Overwatch 1, that was it was the 6-on-6 version of the game. And yeah. Of course, there have been the typical composition in Overwatch was 2-2-2. 2 attack, 2 tanks, 2 healers. That was the general consensus of the team structure. No? It was an agreed upon consensus. There was no hard rule against it, but yeah. There was no hard rule against it. A lot of people decided, oh yeah, the best way to play is 2-2-2, you know? Although you can really just, have fun with it. So what happened? Well, like what we were saying, when variables start to get introduced, you can have unintended side effects that can create imbalance. There was a time when you could use 6 of the same hero on the same team, and the other team would counter you with 6 of other heroes that would counter your team. And 6 monkeys against 6 reapers. The 6 monkeys would then switch into 6 soldiers to pick off the reapers from afar, and it would get War of the Planet of the Apes essentially, right? So what would happen was, now they implemented okay, we're not gonna allow the limits now. We're gonna put 1 hero per 1 type of this hero per team. You can have mirrors on the other team. You could have 1 monkey on your team and another monkey on the other team. You couldn't have more than 1. Yeah, it was chaotic. So then they decided, okay, fine, let's do 2-2-2 if we're gonna make competitive strategies. Balance, right? 2 offense, 2 defense, 2 healers. Kind of sounds like Arknights. But what happened then? People realized, hey, the tanks in this game do a lot of damage too. What if instead of doing 2-2-2, was the supposed answer after Brig, that hero. Yeah. But essentially, I'm skipping over a few details here. But the 2-2-2 was the proposed solution. Because there was one support hero who was completely overpowered, overtuned. Her name was Brigitta. Shortcut, Brig. She was a support hero who could heal, could stun, dealt a lot of damage. It can straight up delete other damage dealers on the other team. She completely invalidated Tracer. And she had good defense. She has a shield, she has healing, and she has stuns that lead into combos. Not great. Not fun to play against. I played the mean Brig before the nerf though. But anyway, they're like, okay, how do we fix this? Well, 2-2-2. Then they realized the tanks have good damage in this game too. What about we do 3-3? Forget the offense. No. Let's remove the 2 offensive units. Let's bring 3 tanks and 3 healers. Now, you had an invincible death ball that would literally just march down the map and wipe you out. The problem was, it had no counters. It didn't have good counters. So the other team was then forced to bring their own 3-3 comp. And the thing is, when you have just 2 big death balls just kind of bonk, 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 it was boring. There wasn't any variance. People were just playing the same old heroes because it worked. It was the only thing that worked. See, that's the difference between a game like, Overwatch versus a game like Counter-Strike. Yes, you had some really strong guns in Counter-Strike. But the thing is, a lot of guns were strong. You had a lot of good options. There was no one clear best option. You had other options. But this, people solved the game. That was the problem. They solved the game because it was the easiest way. Yeah, it was the peak of the meta, and there was literally nothing better. So what did Blizzard decide to do in order to balance it? Introduce Overwatch 2, reduce the number of players from 6 to 5, and then introduce battle passes that pissed people off. Wonderful job balancing the game. Oh my god. Let me take a little drink of water, that kind of stressed me out. You're still livid they made tanks 2-1. I mean, that's the thing, because they just didn't know how to balance their own game. That's the thing. At the end of the day, you know, when it comes to it, right? I'm really thinking about it. And when people cry out for nerfs, buffs, all of these things to happen, what I really think is more than... I mean, yes, there are definitely strategies that need to be banned because they are just not competitive, such as Mega Rayquaza. But the thing is, I think people, more than anything, are looking for viable options. You want a meta where, let's say if one thing is very, very overpowered, you don't necessarily like okay, you can kind of fine tune it to be a little bit, you know, a little bit more tame. But another good counter for that is, if one strategy is going so well, introduce other strategies. Give other options that can serve as alternatives to that meta. When there are a lot of possible strats at the top of your meta, then you have something healthy, like StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 is a very healthy metagame because, yes, there are a lot of overpowered strategies and units, but the thing is, different strategies will counter other strategies. You can get Photon Cannon rushed. Yeah, you can get Cannon rushed. You can get Zerg rushed. But the thing is, if you were also building up your defenses early, you counter the Zerg rush, then you rush them, they're dead. If you were going for a late game strategy, they hit you with an early game strategy, you're dead. You know, so there's a lot of counterplay, there's a lot of viability in the options, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Variety is the spice of life, absolutely. They started insisting people needed to play. What? Remember when they started out insisting people needed to play people meant to counter Bastion, and they just gave to the brain dead players and nerfed Bastion to be unplayable. Exactly. At that point, having completely unviable characters in a game with massive rosters is the thing that makes it unhealthy, I think. Because when you can still have even the lowest tier characters be viable in a game, then you've reached something pretty glorious, right? I mean, let's put it this way. I've mentioned this before. I think it was in a different gaming stream. But in Street Fighter 4, I believe it was an EVO Finals at Street Fighter 4. The Hakan pick versus PR Balrog. So this was PR Balrog versus Infiltration in the finals of EVO. And, you know, Infiltration was just not getting through. PR Balrog's boxer was just way too damn strong. And then, you know, he was using Akuma against him and it just wasn't working. And then, you know, when you lose a match, you have the opportunity to either just go into a rematch or select a character. He decides to go into character select, and then he decides to go and pick Hakan. Now, for those who don't play Street Fighter 4, let me put it this way. Hakan is one of the lowest rated, the lowest tier characters in that game. But he is a hard counter to Balrog, the boxer. And what did that do? Oh, something to take note too, chat, is that if something is non-meta, people don't always know how to play against it because suddenly the surprise factor is there. When it's a low tier character, you kind of disregard it, right? You're like, oh yeah, this year nobody's gonna use that character, and then it suddenly shows up in the finals of Evo. What? And then he wins. He wins the freaking. He wins Evo with a Hakan, the lowest tier character in the game, but because it was a hard counter, the lowest tier was an option. That I think is what makes imbalance fun. Give people fun options. There's some maniac who goes deep into a Hokutonoken tournament with Jaggi. Or when Rangchu made it so far. I mean, he even won the Tekken World Tour with Panda. Even Harada-san, the director of the game himself, when Rangchu won with the freaking Panda, he was like, "You won with Panda? Really?" Even he was flabbergasted. The director of the game was flabbergasted at how someone won the tournament with Panda, who is considered as one of the lowest tier characters as well. And that became a legendary moment. That creates that fun. Because at the end of the day, like what we were saying, I don't think people want, when you say they want a game to be more balanced, they don't necessarily want a stale game. They want more fun options to play with. They just want a game such that there's no one perfect dominant strategy that will take over the rest of the game. And everything else is, trash compared to that. Okay, that's a very relevant example to GT. Astel. Mad Astel Magi. He became an absolute menace. He said, oh yeah, lower my point value. Lower my point value in the tournament. I'm only gonna use Mad Maggie. Shibuya Hal says, alright, bet. Go ahead. And then Astel proceeds to freaking terrorize the entire tournament as Mad Maggie. He might not have won the tournament at the end, but everyone was talking about that Mad Maggie. There was like, 15, 20-minute clips just focusing on everyone's reactions to the Mad Maggie that kept terrorizing them. I believe some of the Niji Sanji teams were like yelling, Aste! He won the psychological war. Exactly. Because the conditions of that tournament were different from a normal scenario. Normally, Mad Maggie wouldn't be that effective. But because when they do the VTuber tournaments, they like to kind of camp a bit. Mad Maggie punishes those strats so harshly. So he annihilated them. And then they started to discover they started to discover the potential of Mad Maggie. Not that actually Mad Maggie is a broken character, actually, but it's like, in the hands of Astel, oh boy. Oh, Astel, man! There were so many clips of that. And it's like, that's the fun of a game. That's the fun of it. What else? What else are we thinking, right? Okay, there are some. Yeah, right? It's like it just creates a great time. It just creates a great time. Cause let's see. What else? What else do I have here? One more thing I wanted to talk about? Game balance. Let me see. Power. Thanks, neighbors, for making me miss one out of the podcast. Man. Yeah, Jeff. Balancing. So, okay. Last example for the day. Let's go to MOBAs. TCG has the term rogue for stuff like that. Yes. Let's go to MOBAs. So, MOBAs are infamous for having the shall we? Okay, you know what? I'm just not gonna mince words. I'll just call them tier whores. Alright? These are the people, these are the morons who live and die by the tier list. Which changes all the time. You can go on different websites and they'd have different tier lists. For the, they'd have different tier assignments for different characters. Ugh. But it's like, oh no, you're not using a top tier enough character. And it's like, look. I understand that, especially in League of Legends. That's kind of why I tuned out, why I stopped playing eventually, because there was just such how do you call it? There was just such an unmoving, stale way of playing the game, right? It's like, oh no, this character can only be bottom lane. Oh no, this character can only be top lane. Oh, this character is only a jungler. Oh, and we are required to have a jungler, a mid lane, 2 people at the bottom lane, and then solo top lane. Who decided that? Who decided that? I'm gonna play Dota, and I'm gonna play as Axe, and I'm gonna camp out in the middle of their damn tower and spawn camp their creeps. Was that overpowered as hell? Yeah, it pissed a lot of people off, but that was the local Dota scene back then in the day. But the thing is like, there are counters to it. You know, gamers don't like fun. Man, I'm, decide, kind of funny you mentioned that, because I also have a future podcast episode just talking about toxicity. Oof. Yeah, the unjust abuse of the slaves. Yeah. SEA server. Yeah, I mean, look, the SEA meta had a completely different look to the NA meta, as Aztec was saying. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this character sucks! And I'm like, bro, that character is literally praised as a god in other regions. You know what I mean? Mineski. Lakad matatag! If you have, that's a local reference. Sorry, chat. People want to win, not have fun. I know. And at that point, that's where the imbalance becomes a little, a bit more. It contributes a bit more to the toxicity, because now, right? People just get too obsessed with winning. Everything else be damned. And it's like, we're just here to have, like, you're now forgetting that the point of a game is to have fun. When you're not having fun, take a step back, take a breather, take a sip of your Mountain Dew, and wait for your mom to give you the next bowl of Doritos, since you still live with her in the basement. You know what I mean? It's like, we laugh, but it's true. It's true, chat. I think it was a midnight mishap. Yeah, I did say Mountain Dew. Yeah. I think I pronounced the D almost like a J, but essentially it's that. Like, people just need to have fun, right? There's two sides of the coin. People playing competitive can win and have fun, but but it's the people who only want to win and will do so at the expense of the teammates' enjoyment. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's hard to kind of nail it down. And this is why I don't actually play MOBAs anymore outside of, outside of friend groups. Because I don't want to be paired up with randos anymore. Because you could get the try-hard rando who rages at everything even if your stats are better than them. You could have the rando who is just having a bad day and they're having a terrible game. And sure, they might have had better days. But when you're on a roll and you get paired with someone like that, like, oof, it gets tough. It gets tough. And sometimes you get paired up with the randos that, at that point, just gather your friends. Even if you all suck, at least you guys can meme on it, have fun with it. Yeah. And that is eventually why I did go back to Dota. Because in Dota, there's no such thing as a tier list. There's barely any meta in Dota. In Dota, it's just complete and utter chaos. What if you don't have friends? Well, Kat, if you want to play a competitive game, you let us know and then we'll join you, huh? You are part of the community now. The War Council will help you up. If you don't have friends, well, the community of the YouTuber you're in will help you out. I mean, hey, that's what makes it really fun. That's how solo queue warriors are born, or psychopaths. You don't play competitive, someone is welcome to teach you. Ah, okay. I did have a really fun stream idea, chat. I would grab a couple of folks from the War Council who've never played Apex, and I was just gonna call it 3 boomers tried to play Apex for the first time. We have no idea what the hell we're doing, and I think it'll be really damn fun. It cannot be someone with experience with Apex. It has to be 3 newbies. We all play Apex. And it's gonna be whack. It's not for competitive. We're just here to have fun and just kind of rediscover the fun part of gaming, right? I've never played Apex either, but I think it would be a fun idea. You'd be up for it, Kat? Nice. That would be really fun, I think. We just have to coordinate it, find a good time. SEA Wi-Fi would be an enemy. Okay, Lax, to be fair, huh? To be fair. As SEA crew myself, I understand that the internet has skill issue, huh? Or if I told you I haven't played it yet? Yep. You haven't, but you don't think you can run it? You had that idea with 2 of your friends. Yeah, the region-based gameplay could be problematic. Mm-hmm. And, it's kind of funny too that we've been talking about this, about gaming, about the balance and all this stuff. I just want to show you guys what my shirt says before we wrap this up. Let me just unmirror my webcam for just a second so I can show you. Respect your elders. Classically trained. Oh, huh? I thought Val found this for me at the Uniqlo. We've been around the block. That is absolutely an Atari joystick. I finally admit I'm old now. Bro, I've always known that I'm old. I am probably Sencho era. Yeah, either this was Uniqlo or she found this at a thrift store, something like that. But yeah, Sencho. Oh no! Crap, the Maribako is just I'm just completely linked to Sencho. Oh my god, from the Maribako to Sencho. Oh my lord. Maribako time. No. Oh boy. Well, that was a fun little podcast. Almost kind of just ended up being a bit more of a chatting stream, but that's kind of the energy we have here, you know. It's nice to have a podcast with, you know, audience interaction. and we did actually get ideas for the next you know, some gaming streams down the future. A game should seek fun, absolutely. If you think about it translated, my name would be Sen Taisho, very close to Sencho. That's true. Yeah. All right, you guys. So I think we are going to wrap it up here. What was the thing I had lined up for the next stream? For the next podcasts, let me check. Okay. The next time on the podcast chat, we're gonna talk about game journalism. We're gonna talk about game journalism, that infamous Cuphead incident, and where do you find your sources? Oh boy. That's gonna be fun. I might ask you guys to send in those articles you find that really made you cringe. That's gonna be fun. Alright, you guys. So with that, I would say our session is adjourned. Everybody, please take care of yourselves. Have a lovely rest of your day, afternoon, and evening. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the weekly roundup. Alright? With that, this is Senator War Chief signing out. Otsu Sen.